We just live right now, man. It's going down, excited for the season. You know, we coming off a playoff win. I mean, you know, we had a couple wins.
At least pride-wise, made me feel good because you don't ever want to get swept.
And I've never done this. I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
If you ask me, can the Bucks win Game 5? I put it at
100%
confidence. Yes.
I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
At this point, you don't know what's going to happen. You can get Game 6. You can steal it.
I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
Winning Game 6 and 7?
I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
I don't think they're going to win the whole series, but...
Hello and welcome to Dear Diaries, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast presented by us, the staff at Brewhoop. My name is Jack Trehearne and I'm in the host chair today. And today we are just doing NBA Draft Bonanza pod. And I've been excited for this for a long time. I've been anticipating for weeks now. And we're just going to basically just do a massive review of like all the players and like players we like for the Bucks and second rounders and stay away guys. And we're going to talk about the top four. So it should be a whole lot of fun. And today I have two esteemed guests with me on the pod. And the first one is basically a Brew veteran at this point is Finn Kuehl. So Finn, how you doing?
Man, Jack, I'm very excited to be here. Like you said, I mean, I've been looking forward to this pretty much since we did our first pod. It was 2 weeks ago now. Yeah, man, I'm just happy to be here. That's all I got.
Hell yeah. And introducing one of the newest Brewhoop members. He's been doing some great writing on the site, and I'm super hyped to have him with us. It's Deolu Akingbade. Deolu, what's up, man?
What's up, y'all? Really excited to be here. I got to join the staff in like March, and from there it's been really exciting. Super excited to talk about these guys. It's a lot of fun. Basketball players here, probably like a really strong class. So excited to get into it.
Hell yeah. So the first thing I want to start off with is I wanted to have a conversation with you guys about like before we get into any of the players, like how do you guys just I don't know if I'd call it scouting, but like how do you get familiar with draft guys? Is it you follow them throughout high school or you get into them really when they're just in their freshman year of college? So Deolu, I'll start with you. Like are you just kind of like maybe you watch like the rankings and stuff and whatnot, but are you more of just like a freshman year of college, just watch these guys, or you kind of watch them all the way through? Like, what's your kind of scouting kind of philosophy, I guess?
I'd say people are really on my radar from the start of junior to senior year of high school because I go to a lot of AAU tournaments. I go to a lot of high school games, and from there, it becomes really exciting to see if like a player is really special or not. For example, I got to see Darren Pearson at the Adidas Three Stripes tournament at Rock Hill. I saw his game. I was like, he's going to be a really great player. And from there, freshman year is really important. Of course, you get to see a lot of the top guys go at it one-on-one. That BYU versus Kansas game was like really important to me. Just seeing how AJ and Darren Pearson's game sort of like compared on the court. And then I try to stay away from all like the big board stuff, sort of like the group thing, because I think that affected my rankings like in previous years. But I think I like start to look at the big boards at the end of the season, like in April, May, and sort of get ranking out by then.
Cool. And what about you, Finn?
Yeah, guys don't really hit my radar until they get to college because I'm just like very much locked into the NBA for the most part. But then, I mean, my level of like involvement, I guess, in the draft has just gone up year by year. So like my process in the fall / the middle of the season, I'll really start to like comb trusted websites and boards. Shout out No Ceilings. That's a big one for me. I trust their work. To kind of like look for names that I think I should know. And then from there, like, I mean, I watch live games. Being at Wisconsin and getting season tickets for basketball, I've been able to go to a bunch of games in person. So just Big Ten guys for the most part, but like seeing prospects in person, watching games live, watching games on YouTube, reading articles, watching scouting reports, that kind of stuff. I don't do a ton of necessarily like discovering guys on my own, but I do all my homework on the guys who I trust other evaluators have identified.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super interesting. And my philosophy is really the reason that I thought about this was because I realized that I don't love watching full games of college basketball. And yet I'm a massive draft guy. And I was just thinking about this and I'm like, how do I, because in my head I have this like insane like Rolodex of guys that I've like either I know their game or like I've heard about them. But it's just so funny because I'm like, I really don't love watching full games of college basketball because I feel like you watch an NBA game and then you watch a college game and you get like whiplash of like how like it's obviously a really high level, but like it's not the NBA. And so then I realized like, where do I get acquainted with these guys in the first place? And I realized it's through USA Basketball. And I watch them at I watched the U17 and the U19 tournaments and those types of tournaments on YouTube. And I'll even watch like the grainy, like no commentator footage of like U18 competitions in like some small town in like Mexico when they're playing in the Americas tournament or something like that. Like, so that's really my first like touchstone of like getting introduced to guys just so I've heard about them. And then like, obviously you hear, mixtapes on social media and stuff, and then they get to college. And my thing with college is sorry, I'll just go back to the USA Basketball thing. I love it because you can basically understand who's going to be in the NBA like 2 years from now just from watching these and they're all on the same team, so you can like scout like 12 different guys that are all going to be around the mark on one team. And that's the problem that I have with college is it's like, unless it's like a big game where it's like there's like a couple guys on each team or whatever, generally it's just like one guy. And like then like for example, I haven't really watched much Bennett Sturts, and like that's just because he's on an Iowa team. Like he's like he's really like the only guy. And so yeah, it's funny. Like I do watch a good amount of college basketball. I watch all the big games and stuff. Like you were saying, like I watched that BYU. Was it BYU Arizona? No, sorry, BYU Kansas. So yeah, I watch a good amount of college basketball, but also if I can find my way around it by just like either watching highlights or just like generally having an understanding of the players before they kind of hit college, then that helps. So yeah, and then the next question I want to ask you, let's get into basically, since this is a Bucks focused podcast, I really want to have most of our conversation about kind of guys from 5 to like 13-ish, just because those are the guys that the Bucks could theoretically pick. But I want to discuss the top 4 just briefly here. Deolu, is your top 4 just like the kind of like consensus, like Debanza, Peterson, Boozer, Wilson, or do you have like an interesting take on that?
I might be a little bit biased, going up to North Carolina and being a Duke fan, but I really think that Cameron Boozer is sort of underrated as like maybe like a top 2 guy compared to AJ and Darren Pearson. Like he's really versatile offensively with where he can play. He has like a really tough offensive game. He's a good shooter, good playmaker, solid rebounder. I think he has the highest score of the draft class. So I think in a perfect world, I would have him in my big board at 1. I know that's a really hot take, but draft wise, like where the teams are going to go, I think that it'll just be like Debanza, Darren Pearson, Boozer, and then Caleb Wilson. But that's where I was thinking.
That's super. And you'll find a whole lot of like draft guys and a lot of ones that I respect. Like Nathan Grubel has Cameron Boozer at 1. And there is like, it's such an interesting take because it's like you are betting on a lot of development from like Peterson and Debanza that you're not necessarily betting on Boozer. Like that guy just gets the job done. So So Finn, what do you make of like the Boozer at 1 take? Because there are people that like really believe this.
Yeah, I totally get it. Like my thing with this top four is that I don't look at anybody crazy for having any variation of the order, as long as they are like respecting all four of the guys as like real star prospects. Like you'll see people trying to like talk themselves out of Bonanza or Peterson, and I just think that's like probably like a little too. You're just like trying to be a little different, you know. But like as for Boozer, I think we talked about this on the kind of like the instant reaction pod. But he is the best basketball player in the class right now.
Yeah.
I don't like. I don't think he quite has the ceiling that that Devonta and Peterson specifically do. Maybe Wilson too. And part of that is just because of like how I perceive his play style, and I think that it's kind of like tough for guys like that to really succeed as number one options in the NBA. But like Devonta, he's my number one right now. Him and his archetype is just my preferred type of star, like the big jumbo, like wing creator with the handle who can play on the perimeter, play make, that kind of thing. But so like, I mean, yeah, I don't think that Boozer at 1 is crazy, but that's not my number one.
Yeah, the Debanza thing is so interesting because I watched him at the and I think I've said this on our group chat before, but I watched him at the U19 tournament and he was just not impressive. Like it was like an ugly, and I remember like listening to some No Ceilings podcasts after, and there was like real like, did we like go too early on this guy? Like, and it was. And he won MVP of the tournament, and I don't know how nobody understood that decision. It was a weird decision. Like Michael Brown was like 10 times better than him at that tournament, and I don't know. It was just like a lot of like trying to overpower guys and trying to like jump through them, and like there wasn't like a lot of polish to it. And then he started his year off at BYU. I remember I was watching one game it was at this tournament down in Orlando. I think they were playing the Dayton Flyers, and it was just like, man, like this is just ugly tape. And I was just like, wow, like what? Because I like saw the potential, but at the same time, I was like, this seems like a way off. And then like throughout the year progressed, and he really did like sink into the season. And yeah, exactly. And like I reckon that game against BYU versus Arizona was like, oh wow, like he did this Pinoy step like around the defender and like basically just put it in the hoop from like a layup start. And I was just like, that is freakish that he can do some of that stuff. So like I see it's what you're saying, Finn, like the potential is through the roof, but like Boozer could come in and just be like, oh, right, like this guy's like the best basketball player by far out of all these dudes right now, like in his rookie year. It's a super interesting conversation. But what do we think about Wilson? Like, do we think Wilson is just kind of like, is he any chance to move up? Like, Deolu, do you think Wilson has any chance to move up?
Honestly, I think there is like a very real conversation with Wilson going at 3 instead of Boozer. But I think it's more positional because what I've heard from people in the know, like people like journalists at ESPN, is that it might be tough to build around Boozer since like defensively he's not too versatile. He's sort of like a tweener on defense, not too like athletic vertically. But again, I think he has the highest floor, and you're trying to push Caleb up when he's a little bit more raw in terms of his like perimeter game. Like he shot something like 25% from 3. And even though his mid-range game, it seemed like he was getting better before that injury, I think he's still a little bit more raw. So there are real conversations about it, but like I think it more depends on like how comfortable the Grizzlies are taking that Boozer pick and entering into that like already like sort of crowded front court a little bit. And
Yeah. What about you, Finn? Do you have any Darren Peterson like notes? Like, what about any Wilson notes? Just anything to round out this conversation?
Yeah, I'll talk about Peterson since we didn't talk about him much yet. I mean, first of all, I love the idea of him going to the Jazz. I really think that'd be an awesome outcome for both him and the team. I mean, the most interesting thing with Peterson is of course like just how much he played during the season at Kansas and all the weird stuff with the cramping and the injuries and the he's popping up on the report last minute like what is this? He's not playing, he's asking to check out. And I mean, hey, like if he says like he identified the reason, the creatine, not hydrating, whatever it was, he said he's good now, then like I guess he's good until he proves that he's not. And like as a talent, he really does just like scream like NBA prototypical shooting guard star with the way he can just score effortlessly everywhere and he's got nice size. Like I feel like he's going to be fine at least on defense. The passing is a bit of a question, but like he didn't really have a ton of help at Kansas and I think if he goes to Utah, that's a good system for him where he can play off ball and on ball, play off these other guys. So, I mean, I really like him. The stuff with the injuries is really interesting, but like I know a lot of people have him number one. I have him number two. He just feels like a stud to me.
Yeah, dude, it was really good that you brought up the injury because I forgot about that. That is like, I don't know. I saw some stuff on Twitter from like there's this guy, I think his name is Brian Suterer. He's like a pretty well-known like sports doctor or whatever you call him. And he's just like, I don't buy the creatine excuse at all. Like, yeah, I don't know. And yeah, that seems, I don't know, like you're taking that much creatine. What even is creatine? I'm not even sure. Maybe it's like a gym bro, but
yeah, I mean it's like a supplement. I have friends who take it. I don't take it. It's just like a powder, and it's supposed to like I think enhance the amount of water that your muscles take in, so then you can like perform better in the gym, like push heavier weight and stuff. So I guess if he was using that, but then not drinking enough water, that his muscles would be like wanting more water. That's sciencey stuff that I don't really know about. But yeah, it's just supposed to like increase your ability to like lift and get stronger. So right, I mean, it would be totally like normal for him to take it, but like I've never heard of anybody getting seriously dehydrated off it before.
Yeah, I've never seen a college season like that. Just really strange stuff happening. But I absolutely cannot deny the talent. All right, let's get into the meat of the podcast, guys. We're gonna play a game called drum roll please, fair or farce. So basically, from kind of the prospects in the Bucks range, I'm gonna like read one of you a statement, and you say that's fair, you agree, or farce, you disagree. And I just got to get up my fancy schmancy banner that I made all for the occasion. Fair or farce? There we go. See, I did my prep here, guys. I did my prep. All right. So let's start with Keaton Wagler. So Finn, I'll start off with you. Fair or farce? Keaton Wagler's athletic deficiencies will significantly limit his impact in the league. And by the way, just before you start, I do not necessarily agree, nor do I disagree with any of these statements. They're just interesting statements that I thought. But go ahead, Finn. Fair or farce?
No, I'm holding you accountable for all these if they're terrible. No, but I'll say farce for this one. I think that he is not the first shooting guard to come into the league as not an elite athlete, but have a lot of skill and touch and end up being just fine. I mean, I don't know if you want to look at like Tyler Hero or Austin Reeves or Desmond Bain, like whoever your comp might be for him or like that shooting guard sort of mold might be. Those guys are all really good players because they're just like really skilled. And I think with Wagler, he has enough size. Like this isn't a point guard we're talking about here who's grounded. This is a real shooting guard. At the very least, like at his floor, he's going to be an off-ball weapon who can really shoot it and like not get totally picked on defense. So like you're at least getting some sort of valuable role player, I think. But if he's going to become like probably like a secondary or like maybe a tertiary star, which I would view his ceiling as versus like a number one, I think he would be fine with like all the skill and the wiggle he has with his handle and the scoring. He doesn't need to be some crazy jump out of the gym athlete.
Deolu, what do you think about the fact that he had 0 dunks on the season? Does that worry you or yeah?
I was actually talking with my friend a couple weeks ago. I actually think now that it isn't like too big of a concern for me. I think he's just I read in some article that he had like a 4 or a 5-inch growth spurt like his junior or senior year. And so I think he's just still learning like the limits of that 6'5", 6'6" frame. And I honestly think that the athleticism will come. He won't really be grounded, like not a vertical athlete like at all, like ever, I don't think in his NBA career. But I do think even if it doesn't pan out, he still has those weapons that Finn talked about. He'll still be a dangerous like connector in the league, even if he doesn't have that vertical athleticism. But I still think he'll develop it. Yeah.
I do just want to add quick that just as a small shoot off, but like if he was able to hang in the Big Ten, like I see the Big Ten up close. This is a really good conference with a lot of pros and a lot of real athletes, and it's very physical. Like if he did fine in this, obviously the NBA is a whole nother step, but like we're not talking about like he didn't play at Stanford, or I guess Stanford's in the ACC. You know, like some like smaller.
Man, don't get me started on conferences in college basketball.
Yeah,
Stanford playing in like that. Yeah. Anyway,
we'll say like Santa Clara. Like he's gone up against a lot of pros and a lot of big guys, so that'll help him too. Like if he can drop 45 on Purdue, he can score 15 in the NBA.
Yeah. The Tyrese Halliburton comp for him is really interesting, and I do see a lot of similarities in their games. Like, and then I wrote this in my article about him, but like the number one thing that he has going for him is that he is such a deadly shooter, and he will pull from wherever, and so defenders need to be up on them, and so having that gravity affords him a lot of opportunities. I am worried about him, like, you know, like guys who wouldn't typically, you wouldn't typically switch onto guards, teams just being like, just switch. But I like if it's like a drop defender, I think he's going to be like really effective, basically. Not even just drop, just like even just any coverage other than switch. I think he could be really effective, but it will be interesting to see how, if he can improve that explosion kind of over his career. All right, Finn, I'm going to change this statement about Michael Brown Jr. because I forgot to change it last night, but Michael Brown Jr. is like the Goldilocks of all the guards. He is like the best. He has like the best chance of being like an offensive engine while also not being like poor on the defensive end. What do you think, fair or farce?
Give me fair. I really, really like Mikal Brown right now. He's up to 5th on my board, which puts him by default above all the guards besides Peterson. He's got the size to be a real combo guard, so that definitely gives him an edge. Crazy shooter, great playmaker. He really like does it all. And I think the main concern with him is just solely like that lingering back injury. People seem to put a lot of stock into that. I haven't seen anything personally that feels like tangible with that. Like currently, seems like he looked just fine at the combine shooting. It's like he's moving funny, but yeah, as for his game, like I don't see anything for the most part that really like raises red flags other than like turnovers or inconsistency. But just like there's no obvious thing like, oh yeah, he's 6'1". Like, no, he's really got the whole package in terms of potential for a guard star.
Yeah. It's really funny going through all the guards in this range, and it's like, Vogler's tall, but he doesn't have the speed, and like Brown and like Acuff has the scoring, but he doesn't have the defense, and does Burries have the ceiling, and whatever. We'll get to all this, but like, I kind of like, I would say fair to my own statement here because like,
wow,
Deolu,
Of course you would.
What can I say? Yeah, I don't know. Like I look at him and I'm just like, he does seem to have like a good middle ground to like all of these things. Like that he's like I said, he's kind of like the Goldilocks of all the prospects. So, Deolu, do you have anything like? What do you think of Brown?
I'd have to agree with all you guys. I think he's certainly a really great guard. Definitely a skilled playmaker. He has some range on him, and some of the things that limit him are is like his back injury, as you mentioned. He can be like a streaky shooter at times, but honestly, with like the dynamism that he showed at Louisville, especially that game against I think NC State where he put up something absurd like 40+ points. I was wild watching that. Like he showed like
10
the
threes,
level.
right?
Yeah, like he was fully sparking it. Like it might have been some garbage time buckets, but like he was like he has some range in him. I mean, I think it's hard. It's really, really hard for me to see him busting. Really, I mean, I think he has like a solid floor. But yeah, I think I'd say fair.
Yeah, he his part. I want to mention his passing because I was watching some of his highlights. It was either last night or the night before, but like, he really. When I say like passing, like, I mean like he like reads pick and roll rotations. Like he had a pass against the game that they played at. It was at that Fort Worth arena, and they played Baylor. It was like a neutral site, and he like I was watching it and I'm like, oh, he's going to pass to the roller here, and like he looks away the roller and hits the opposite corner as the corner guy's defender helps over, and I legit didn't even see it on film, and he hit the guy and I was like, oh my god. And so yeah, I think it just like shows a level of like basketball IQ that like is really interesting. Like Wagler makes those same type of reads. So yeah, Michael Brown is like, he's definitely one of my like I would have him 5th or 6th on my board probably if I made a board. So, all right, Deolu, Darius Acuff Jr. will never be able to defend at a passable level in the NBA. Fair or farce?
I would have to say farce on that one. I mean, I think a lot of people get focused on Acuff being like relatively undersized as a point guard, which I agree with, but he's pretty strong for his size. He definitely has some active hands when he's on defense. He's not going to roll over and like let someone else take that switch or something like that. He's not going to like be a guard who's going to be hunted all the time, especially in the SEC. I didn't see him get hunted super aggressively. I think in the league, there might be some concerns if he sizes up like a big guard, like that's being more popular. But I think he has like the strength to be an adequate defensive guard. He's not going to be like a fully like some of the defensive disruptors that we've seen in this class, like Fleming's. But I think he'll be passable. So I'll say farce.
Yeah. One of the things that I like about Acuff is he seems like straight up dog. Like he seems like he has like a real like, and you saw this on mostly on the offensive end, but like a real competitive nature in terms of like his and he's not scared of anything. So I feel like if he's getting picked on in the NBA, I feel like that competitive nature will kick in. Plus, we mentioned on the last pod, Finn, he had pretty solid measure. Like 6'2" is not great at height, but like 6'6" wingspan. So, yeah, what do you think about Acuff and his like defensive potential?
I think that as if he's just like slightly below average to even like regular below average, the way I project him to be offensively, like it just won't really matter. And I know that we see some of these guards who are like smaller and they're not good on defense, whatever, like Trae Young kind of going for pennies on the dollar in the trade market and stuff. Like I know where their stock is at, but like there are bad defenders at every position in the NBA and guys who play in the playoffs who are poor defenders. And like Acuff, if he's a real offensive star and he's not just like god awful on defense, like he just like puts in some effort, like he is a competitor, like you mentioned, I think it's gonna be fine. I mean, I don't know. It's probably fine.
Yeah, he's a super. I don't really have too much to add. I think his competitiveness will kind of force him in a way to get better on that end. But like we can't deny the tape that he really did not put much effort in at Arkansas. So
but like his teammates at Arkansas, unless I'm forgetting somebody off the dome, like he didn't really have another creator, and he was the offensive engine, like 23 points or whatever he averaged. Like he was doing so much that usually guys like their defensive effort starts to drop off when you're doing so much on offense. I mean, that happens to Giannis Antetokounmpo, and it's different when you're 6'2", but like in the NBA, he'll have somewhat less responsibility, at least to start. And he'll have like a shorter leash probably. So like, yeah, I mean, he should be able to at least kind of scale up a little bit.
First off, great point. Second off, this is DJ. What's his name? DJ Wagner.
DJ Wagner, dude.
There's DJ Wagner disrespect there, Finn.
You like him?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay.
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 Yeah, where did that guy? He's transferred again. I think.
Maryland, which is actually interesting because I might get to see him play in person next year. Then, and I feel like he has like some tools, but like when I was watching him like for Arkansas this year, I was like, man, this is kind of a brutal watch because he just they let him shoot every time.
Yeah. I remember him coming in at Kentucky. He was like hailed as the next big thing, and then it just like it really fizzled out. Deolu, did you have anything you wanted to bring up about him? I know you put your hand up just there.
No, I was.
Oh, no, okay. Yeah. Okay. Deolu, Adai Mara is being overhyped because he played on such a dominant college team that fit him perfectly. Fair or farce? Wait, sorry. Is it? Whose turn is it? I think it was Finn's turn.
You did two for me, so you can give Deolu a second.
Yeah, you got it.
That's a tough one. He probably did benefit a little bit because all Michigan are some dogs at defense, but I honestly think that is a farce because Mara has some really NBA translatable skills that I think would have been visible at places other than Michigan. I know in the last podcast you guys talked about him having a rough start at UCLA. I think that's still him more developing into like his big man role. Still feeling out his 7'4" frame. I think that he will be a solid rebounder. He might be a little bit soft, but I think his skills will like still translate to the NBA big time. So I'd have to say farce a little bit.
Yeah. Finn, what do you make of the point about him kind of like maybe because he's so tall or whatever, maybe it just took him a few years to grow into that frame and also just your thoughts on the question as well.
Yeah, I think I like the way that he developed. Not that I was watching him super closely when he was like a freshman at UCLA or anything, but like that doesn't scream like questionable outlier to me. Like sometimes you'll see prospects, for example, who like are mediocre shooters at best for 3 years in college. And then senior year, it's like, oh, you're 40% from three now on 4 attempts a game. But is that actually real? Probably not. But with Mara, like his development feels very believable because all of his skills like feel translatable to the NBA level. And he did it for the national championship team. Like if he was able to win at the college level like that while doing what he did and like growing to get this much better as a player on a really good team, I don't know why I shouldn't believe that. Now, your question is actually interesting. I almost wanted to say fair at first, just a little bit. But ultimately, I think I'll say farce on that, though, just because I think he's the best, like, true center prospect in this class, and it's not really too close, in my opinion. There are a lot of guys right now playing in the conference finals, or even just like in the second round, who are really big and have a little bit of skill. Like that just feels like a recipe for success, and Mara has that. So he just feels like he fits the trend of the league. He's gifted in ways that a lot of guys at his size are not gifted. So I think it's totally fair to be really high on him. I am for the most part. So
I think I would say fast as well, but I will. Let me just sell you this. I will sell you this pen on on the fair aspect of it. So he is the first one is you guys don't think that he'll be like a post up big in the NBA, right? Like teams are. Do you envision teams throwing it to him on the block? Either of you?
sometimes I like him high
Yeah.
post, but I also think like 4 out, 1 in would be very playable with him.
Yeah.
Kind of depends on the personnel around him, but he is so good at passing, I think, that you can use him as kind of like a secondary creator, like well not like creator, but like option, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, he posted up occasionally in the kind of film, but still it's a little bit awkward still. Like he catches it and then he has to like take a few seconds and then it's like, all right, take a dribble, and then like before long it's like he's had the ball for like 7 seconds. Deolu, what do you think of his like ability to like create shots on his own?
Right now I do think that part of his game is a little limited. I don't think like his ball handling like by itself is like fully fleshed out, with him being like 7'4". But also it might not be like what he's in the league to do. I think he'll be like a good like sort of like connector who sort of like helps like the flow of the offense. But things were like a little bit chunky sometimes at Michigan, but I think those issues will iron itself out with a couple years in the league. So I think it'll be fine.
And sorry, did you have anything you wanted to add there, Finn?
Yeah, actually, I'd love to talk more about his post up because you saying what you were saying kind of reminded me, like watching him at Michigan this year. I watched him probably as much as anybody on this board, just because I watch a lot of Big Ten. But his like a frustration for him from me was like when he posts up, he doesn't really try to like bang the guy, pause. He more just like he like remembers he's 7'4" and he has really good touch. So, like he'll put up the hook and he'll make it. But like I wanted to see him really try to get better position. And I don't think he needs to be like a real post up scorer. And that's also something you can kind of coach. And he's already got the touch. That comes first. Like the physicality, you can coach that and you can get him stronger. But yeah, you brought up a really fair point about like the technique, and that is something that they're gonna have to work on in the NBA. Like year one, it might look a little funky for him offensively. He might just be more of like a screener, high post guy versus like we're making a conscious effort to get you the rock.
And in his defense, there's not a lot of bigs that actually get that privilege anyway in the NBA. Like most of them are just like system bigs. Two other points I'll mention on him. He's probably like we're betting against him shooting it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also like he is like mostly a drop defender. Like Deolu, do you think he has got much like scheme versatility? Like you think he can switch or like high hedge and then recover, or do you think he's just mostly going to be a drop guy?
Yeah, I don't really see him being able to like switch on like smaller sort of wings. I think he looked like a little uncertain getting out to the perimeter and all that. So I think it will just mainly be like drop, just like staying in the paint, really.
Yeah. Okay. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Finn, on Mara?
I wish that I could buy more into the shot because I really do think he has like touch and feel, but he's really bad at the free throw line, and I do think his shot needs some real work. And it's hard for a guy that big to be able to get like a nice looking stroke going, but like it just feels very hypothetical. And even if they can get him to a level like Zach Edey in the league right now takes like 1 to 2 threes a game. He'll make a trailing three, whatever, but he's usually open, and it's not like a real shot where in the playoffs like defenses are going to respect it. So it's like if Mara can kind of be a gimmick shooter, like, hey, that's cool. Like that's not a nothing, but it's not really something that like I'm looking at as a real appeal for him as a prospect, because I don't think he's going to be like actually respectable unless they make him like Donovan Clingan. It's just like, hey, just go chuck, and eventually you'll learn how to shoot. But even then, I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, man, Wemby is Wemby. I guess you got to try some things. All right, Finn. Braden Burries has the least bust potential of all the guards in this range.
Ooh, I'll say fair. I think. The main guy, honestly, that I'm looking at in terms of more bust potential is Kingston Flemings. Which I don't know if you had a fair farce for him, but we can talk more about him soon. But yeah, Burries he's a pretty like high floor guy in a lot of people's eyes, but in my eyes too, just because I think he's pretty physically ready to be in the NBA compared to a lot of guards that come in. He's smart. He plays winning basketball. He can shoot. Like he does a lot of that like supporting stuff where even if he's just like a pretty good eighth man or something, it's like, all right, he can play and he'll probably figure it out. There's maybe some concerns, honestly, that like you wish you saw more like loud stuff from him at Arizona. Like you wish he had the higher ceiling, and maybe it's like sometimes those high floor guys can be deceiving because then they get to the NBA, they can't scale up, and then they almost like disappear a little bit. But I do think Burries is a good basketball player, so he'll probably figure it out to some degree.
Yeah, it's so interesting, like how people differ on Burries. Like I think I saw like on like Ben Pfeiffer's board, like he has him at like 18th, and then you will find like Nathan Grubel has him at 7th. Like he's such an interesting prospect. Deolu, what do you think about his? Like, do you think like he's just going to be like a solid player in the league and not necessarily like a star, or do you see like some potential? Like I've heard, and I'm not saying I disagree or agree with this, but I've heard people say Devin Booker. They see a bit of Devin Booker in him, which surprised me. But like I don't know. So Deolu, what do you think about his like upside, I guess?
Well, at his ceiling, I see him like a Swiss Army knife kind of guard. He can basically like do it all. I mean, at Arizona, I think he was like the impact player as a freshman. He started off pretty sluggishly, then like really scaled it up during that winning streak. He was a great scorer, great shooter, good rebounder, a dog on defense. I think those qualities alone, like forget him being like relatively older, like 20 or something like that. I think those qualities alone will make him pretty good when he gets to the league. His ceiling, I think he could be really, really great. Probably not like an all-star or anything like that, but I think he'll give like really consistent production, like probably like 15 points per game, just because of that shooting upside, that dynamism that we saw at Arizona, that I think he'll be really good.
Yeah. He's one of the guys that like I tweeted this. Like I feel like all the guards who are gonna be, they have like some not glaring issue, but they've got like some obvious issue. But they're like I won't deny that I think they have a lot of higher upside than him. But or like perceived to have higher upside, but I feel like Burries could be a guy that just falls into the Bucks' lap at 10, and we look back 5 years from now and like they all kind of, the other guards might have their like issues on defense or like explosion or whatever it is, and he just turns into like the 7th best player in this class or something. I think that's totally an outcome that could come to fruition. He's a really interesting guy. I mean, he led the Wildcats in scoring on a team that like what were they the second or the third best team in the country? Like
They were really good.
Yeah, they were really good. So he's really interesting. All right, Yaxel Lindeborg. This is a guy I have not actually watched a whole lot on. So you guys are going to have to help me out on Lindeborg. But Finn, wait, whose turn is it?
I think it's me.
Deolu. Sorry, Deolu.
Yeah.
Yaxel Lindeborg will return top 10 value in this draft, and everyone is overthinking him because of his age. Fair or false?
I'll say fair. And before, I want to preface this with like a story about him. I think I saw like something on the Players Tribune about him. He was like 15, 16. He was playing 2K all day, and he was going to be like a nobody. And then his mom picked him up. He was like, "Oh, you guys start playing basketball. You guys take this. You guys take this seriously." So he went to JUCO. He shot like 55% from the line, like or something like that. Then he built his way up to Alabama, Birmingham. Then he became what he is now at Michigan. He's like, I think someone at No Ceilings referred to him as like the super skeleton key. Like he did like Burry's just about everything at Michigan. If he was 20, I think he would be in like the upper lottery range, like probably below Wilson, but still like up there with Wagler and Acuff. He has he has really good defense. He's a good rebounder, a good connector that like any team in the league would want to have on their team. And at 10, assuming like the Bucks go like scorched earth with Giannis and like we want like full rebuild. I know we don't want that to happen, but like I think Lindeborg is still like a good pick. I know y'all said on the podcast a couple weeks ago y'all wanted like a big swing at 10. I agree with you guys. I think Lindeborg is still pretty solid. He's going to be a pretty solid like glue guy. I think with a couple more years of development in the league, he could be a really good connector, like we were talking about the other day, like someone like OG Anunoby who could like impact the game in a multitude of different ways, but also still get his own bucket, something like that. So I think he'll be a top 10 player, and he still has more developing to do since like he started playing basketball like with JUCO. So I think like the age is this.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up. The interesting thing with him is he's not the fact that he's older is like a byproduct of the path that he took, because I believe, like you said, Deolu, he started playing basketball later, started really getting serious about it. Like like most of these guys are like bred in a lab to like play basketball from like when they're like 1 month old. And they're like whatever, they're put on all the correct teams and blah blah blah. You know how it goes. But like with Lindeborg, it feels like his the fact that he's older is almost just a byproduct of his interesting kind of life story. So Finn, what do you make of that?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to take pretty much the opposite stance of Deolu here. Now, I think that Yax is like, I think he's really likable. I think he's awesome. So like, I kind of like, I want to root for him. But man, I don't see top 10 in this class, and that's partially a product of there's just so many other good prospects in this class who I think have upside or high floor, where like if I just like shook out the odds, I feel like 10 of them will probably end up being better. He could be 12. I think he could also be like 20, but I think that the chance of him being like 20 is higher than it is of being like 6.
That's interesting.
There's just something to me with like the high floor guys who are like they're just like they're so NBA ready, but they don't really have the ceiling. Not all those guys end up being as NBA ready as you think, and then it's like, well, now what? I mean, Yax, man, like he's definitely got real NBA traits, and like he's just not a guy you can bet against. Like I actually think he's a high floor guy, even if sometimes I question him. Like he'll come in and he'll be able to defend and rebound and connect, but like if he doesn't ever become like an actually good shooter, or I mean, I guess he's kind of got to figure out which position he plays in the NBA too. Like if it's the 3 or the 4. Like it might just get like he might hit a cap. And like I don't see star for him at all. So then it's just hard for me to say that like I really think he can be worthy of a top 10 pick. I don't want him for the Bucks. Now the Thunder at 12, yeah, like go ahead.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense because I think that he can play. But like I think that there's potential for a lot of guys to lap him in like 5 years' time. But the
Yeah.
basketball age point is really good. Like that's really fair. That's a real thing. Like late bloomers, it happens all the time. Or even just like false ceiling guys too. Like AJ Mitchell, 4-year college player out of like Santa Barbara or whatever. All of a sudden he comes to the NBA and he looks like a future star.
Okay.
So there's always like those avenues, but
That's really interesting. Yeah. All right. Finn, LeBaron Philon. LeBaron Philon's craft will be much less effective in the league because he lacks explosion. Fair or farce?
I will say farce because I think it's kind of like the Wagler point a little bit.
Yeah.
Like if you're so good with the basketball, like you're going to be able to get around guys. And if he's got like NBA spacing, I mean, he already kind of played with that at Alabama. Like you get a mismatch against him on an island. There was somebody, I wish I could remember who was against, but he got a switch with the game on the line during the season and like shook his head like, oh man, they put this guy on me. Do you remember
Tennessee?
Yeah, and then he had that little like turnaround in the paint. And then he got that. That was nice. That was really
It's
Yeah.
like a spin, step back kind of thing, and then that was cold.
Dude, he's so tough. He's
Yeah.
maybe like my favorite player in the class just because I think he's like he's just cool and his game is sick. He's so fun to watch. But like even just like from an analysis perspective, that wiggle and that ability to create that will translate to some degree. And part of why I like Philon too, I'm even a little higher on him, I think, than some people are. I have him at 9, is I think he's another guy where he's a combo guard, not a point guard. And he showed at Alabama at points that he is able to defend to some degree. He's a good enough shooter where he's going to be able to catch and shoot. He's not 6'2", so like you can feel fine playing him off the ball. So that gives him like a bit more of a floor or like versatility in terms of his role. But like I buy him being some sort of creator in the NBA. That bag is just too deep, and the shot making is very much there.
Yeah, he's a super interesting one for me. There's something about him that leaves me a tad cold, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because he, like his shooting in year 1 at Alabama was like pretty bad, but then he got like so much better in year 2. So you have to wonder what if that was like real or whatever. Like it's really interesting. Like Michael Brown shot poorly, but I just cannot buy that he's not going to shoot it in the league. Like, again, Michael Brown, he is all first team. We'll watch them in the gym shoot for hours on end. Shout out Tyler Smith. I don't know why you never made shots in the NBA, but he's also
still
my
time.
first. yeah, there's still time. So, but yeah, I can't deny that like his patience and his ability to like snake pick and rolls and like put guys in jail behind him and stuff, and like that's really interesting. Deolu, what do you think about his craft as a player?
Definitely has one of the best handles in the draft class. I mean, like plus that agility and that footwork, like when Alabama put him in isolation, it was like really, really dangerous. And again, he turned into a good shooter. He had that mediocre year at Alabama from range. Now he's a good shooter. So yeah, he has a great dribble. One more thing, he's the only player in this draft class to have a Raul Rodriguez lyric like named after him. Like, I wear 0, LeBaron Philon, and I'll give allowances to my mama. That might sway like the draft projection of him. So
Okay, yeah,
that's one of the biggest things. We have to see about that.
I love that. All right, we got two players left in the fair or farce series, and so the next one is Kingston Flemings. Deolu. Wait, who's to? God, I keep it. Is it?
It's Deolu's because
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
seen
yeah.
about Phylon.
Sorry, I legitimately have the memory of a goldfish, guys.
Lock in, Jack.
Okay. Kingston Fleming's reliance on mid-ranged and rim attempts in college will be an issue in the NBA. Fair or false?
I think I might have to say fair on this one. Because like one of the biggest problems I have with Phylon sorry.
No, you can swear on this podcast. It's seriously funny.
Okay. I don't know what type of podcast this was. But one of the biggest problems I had with Fleming's was like sort of his jumper. Like when I was watching Houston's games, like his shooting accuracy wasn't like a really big issue, but like when he like shot it, it was almost like he like kind of like cocked back and then shot like almost like someone could say it was like a catapult or something like that. Like I don't think that's like too big of an issue, but there is like a reality where it becomes like problem like shooting it against like closeout defenses, and he is a little bit undersized, so like attacking the paint against these NBA bigs might be a real problem. So like there is like a place for mid-range warriors, like we see Shea Gilly all the time. We can have it from mid-range, but I think that with those like potential holes in his game at the rim and from range, like being apparent, that might wreck him. But he's definitely a really good player.
Yeah, his the thing about the shot form is super. Like I watched him shoot, and it took me like a good amount of time to I'm like, how does that shot go in? Because it really is kind of like this like slingshot catapult kind of, and he shoots it like kind of off the side of his face. Like it's not a aesthetically pleasing shot, but I mean he shot good percentage from three, obviously on low volume, Finn. But what do you make about his shot diet?
I think that he and also Burries, just because like we were talking about earlier, both need to up that 3-point volume. It's just the reality of the NBA that guards got to be able to shoot threes. I do not mind the mid range at all. I think it's a good counter. But I think he's got to be able to shoot more threes. Like De'Aaron Fox right now, I mean, dude is so good inside the arc, and that's a Kingston Fleming's comp like that a lot of people make.
Yeah,
like Fox is elite in that mid range, and he can be elite at the rim too. And Fleming's like, I mean, if he gets to that level in the mid range and at the rim, which is like more of a question mark than the mid range at the NBA, it'll probably be fine. But also like Fox, it really hinders him sometimes that he can't really shoot threes. Fleming's can make them, but also still like he's got to scale up to that NBA line and prove that he can make it against like the closeout defense, like you guys said. So like I think that the it's got to come around if he's going to be a real like star guard worthy of a top 10 pick.
Yeah. Final word on Fleming's from me. I think he is like his speed just like jumps off the page to me. Like I watch him and I'm just like, oh wow, like there's like a lot of guys where you don't necessarily consider them like they're fast to a degree, but it's not like you don't think it's like one of their strengths. Whereas like I watched him and I'm just like, oh wow, he like screams, like that burst is like special to me. Yeah, he's a really like if he can shoot threes, I think he'll be really effective. And then but obviously he's gonna get targeted in the playoffs, like on the defensive end. But yeah, I put in my article about him like 6'2" is different from 5'11". Like he's not tiny, but also you would prefer he was like a bit taller. All right, final one, the one I've been most excited for. Finn, Nate Ament has the lowest floor of anyone in like the top 20.
Ooh. Well, I guess it kind of depends on who's all in the top 20. Hold on, I got a tickle in my throat. Water went down the wrong pipe. All right. I think I'm going to say Farce hesitantly because in my top 20 at least, I've got Chris Sinak and Jaden Quaintance is also like right around that range, as is Swigo and Kareem Lopez for most people's top 20. He's 25-ish for me. So like right around there too. So there's a lot of raw guys, and I think with the Ment, he's got a pretty low floor. I think that's something that like most people can agree on, even you, who I know you're gonna try to sell it. And I'll listen. I'll actually listen, even though I'm like somewhat skeptical. But like I feel like he's probably got a couple NBA traits for real, even if they're not like clearly orthodox translatable ones. Like he's really good at getting to the free throw line. I feel like he's at least like a pretty decent passer. He's a decent rebounder, right? I guess you could
I
tell
think
me
he
on
is,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, and then like as for the shooting, I think the shot really needs work, but also like I could see him becoming a shooter, like for real. Like that doesn't feel like it's miles away. It just like some work on the form. He's already got like the confidence and the ability to take like tougher shots and like make them look relatively smooth, even if the form is somewhat funky. The floor is low, but it's not the lowest. Like I think people just in like general with this stock, we might have talked about this on the last pod, and then I'll let you get into your spiel, but like they've almost like overcorrected a little bit because he was ranked so highly. And then he didn't quite meet those expectations. Now it's like, oh, we gotta like temper our expectations on him. We're gonna drop him low. Like he's not this top 10 prospect. Like he's got a lot of ways to go just because he didn't look like an obvious stud like some of these other freshmen did. But production wise, and like he made it to the tournament, like good team, good conference. Like he had a pretty good freshman year, I feel like.
Yeah,
And
he
yeah, it
averaged
was
like
streaky.
18 points. 18. Yeah, his raw numbers were decent.
Yeah, like he was like a pretty good college player. Like he could play. I know he's like streaky and like in the NBA there's a lot of development to do, but like this isn't a bum, man. He didn't average 9 points. Like guys have Peyton Watson came into the league after averaging 4 points at UCLA, and he's a good player. So like just like the production and the baseline for like the role you can see Ament filling into is there, where I feel like he's still worthy of like that lottery swing.
Deolu, before I get into my spiel, what do you think, like, just top line thoughts about Native Man? Do you like him? Do you not like him? What do you think?
Honestly, I think I'm a little bit more into him than like some other people on the net. Like I think I can like really buy into him developing into like a jumbo wing who can make all these tough shots. He had this. I mean, the season was basically like three parts. He started off like pretty inconsistently and slow, and then like during conference action, he hit like a flow state almost. He averaged something like 20 points on some efficient shooting during like the conference slate, and then in the postseason he got injured, and then like that sort of messed up his rhythm, I guess, and that he had like a really poor end to the season. So I guess that recency and primary bias, but like Finn said, he does get to the line really well. He has some really nice size. Like I think he has like a 7-foot wingspan or something like that. So I think his shot will eventually sort of pin itself out, and I think that if his shot does end up falling, then he'll be really dangerous. Especially because I think like his evaluation is also clouded like where he was playing, and like with Tennessee, he had to like ISO at a lot of plays, and I think that sort of like messed up his efficiency. Like he was just like clawing for every bucket, like sort of like on ISO. So I think that was sort of like pin itself in the league. So I can buy into him.
Yeah, he did I was actually coincidentally listening to a podcast he did with Kevin O'Connor yesterday, and he was talking about God, I've completely lost my train of thought. Anyway, what I will talk about is that 22. He's averaging like it was like that stretch. It was like 8 games. He has like 22 points, like 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and it was like above 50% shooting, and then like 38% from 3 or something. And like you mentioned, the point about the the segments of the season. Like he started off poor and then hit that stretch, and then he had that injury in that game we talked about when they were playing Alabama. When we were talking about LeBaron Philon, and he missed that time, and then I believe he had like a solid game in the SEC tournament. I want to say it was against Auburn, and then his March Madness just didn't go great. But look, if you were to ask me to like sell, if you were to give me a task of like sell me this pen on Native Men, the first thing I would say is like people who the teams that, to draft people that mock him high will all start with some form of players with this skill set, with these dimensions, just don't grow on trees. And so like you start from that point of like just the kind of like versatility that he has, and like part of like I would say fast to my own question, because like part of the floor ceiling thing is you have to consider that like the game is played on both ends, and like defensively I think he's going to be like pretty damn good. Like he can switch, and like he's on some level he's just huge. Like he's taller than Bobby Portis, and he's a wing. And yes, go ahead. Yeah,
I just wanted to add quick that like when I was about the size, when I was at the combine, they had him come out to do his athletic testing with a bunch of like the big guys like Cam Boozer, maybe like Morez Johnson or like Steinbach, some variation of like those big guys. And the first thing like Ament jumped out to me, it's like, oh yeah, I mean, not like as strong as these guys, but like he's also very huge. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah. Oh no, that's great insight. Yeah. He like just watching him on the screen, he comes off as someone who, if you were to stand next with, you would just be like, holy shit. Which and on the size thing, that makes me think like, okay, like maybe if he doesn't develop like quote unquote wing skills, maybe he just ends up as a power forward, and like he could just slide into those kind of like, he could just be kind of like a stretch big. So the other point I'll mention is he's a late bloomer. Like, well, he came on like in the rankings like pretty late on in the piece. Like I remember watching a USA basketball tournament. It was a U18 one, so like there's no like World Cup or anything, but they had some tournament in like Mexico, as I said in the intro, and like he didn't play. He was like the bench warmer on that team. And then going from that to like ending the rankings in like, he was the fourth guy behind the big three before like Caleb Wilson took that spot and all those other guys. So late bloomer. One thing I also want to mention is I've seen this video of him at the Nike Hoop Summit. And when I say late bloomer, I mean like in basketball development, but also in literal body development. Like he was so skinny, and he got to Tennessee and gained, I think he said it was like 25 pounds. Yeah, deal. Yeah.
I think he mentioned in like an interview or something like that, he ate 5,000 calories a day to get bulk like that. So that is crazy. Yeah. Continue.
Yeah. So I was listening to like some No Ceilings podcasts about this, and like there's some speculation that like the fact that he tried to gain, and he spoke about this with KOC, like he was not really comfortable. Like it was like they would like you said, Deolu, like he was eating so much, lifting so much, and maybe that impacted his shooting stroke somewhat, because like, I don't know, maybe he got like too strong for the basketball or whatever. But yeah, my bet on him relies on him shooting the ball. And if he can shoot the ball, he becomes like a decently high floor stretch big. And then if you start to get those wing skills come in, like his ability to like get to his own shot and separate, then it starts to get interesting. But like at Tennessee, he was like the whole dribbling the ball thing was not the greatest like thing to watch. but like he used a lot of like get action at Tennessee, where like you throw the ball and then he would run off them for a handoff, so he didn't have to like dribble into the pick and roll. And so I think like in his first few years, you're gonna see like zoom actions where he gets a screen into the handoff. So like just things to help him get to the point of coming off the screen without necessarily needing to like navigate and dribble into it. But yeah, it's a bit like if he shoots it, I think like he's going to be like a solid NBA player. And then like if he is able to like work on those separation skills, I think he gets more and more interesting. But on a very basic level, I mean, being able to just shoot over someone because they're like too small is like that's like a skill that's valuable, but also you can't just rely on shooting over people. Like that's never going to get you to like the ultimate like efficiency type of stuff. And I made the grave mistake of doing player comps. But one player, so two players. Number one is just, and I'm not comparing these guys, but just like kind of like the way that the strengths and weaknesses more like
play style, not like ceiling.
Yeah. The first guy that popped into my head was Jabari Smith. And I mean more like the fact that like he like there's not like a whole lot of shake to Jabari Smith's game, but he's strong, he's an excellent defender, and he can kind of just shoot over people and just body people. And that was kind of like a little bit of what I saw with Ament. And then like and then the other, and this is like a really high end outcome, but the other one that like just in terms of movement patterns was Jaden McDaniels. Just like a big wing who like like Jaden McDaniels in his first few years compared to like what he is now, like you would have never projected that, but like he's an excellent defender, obviously because of that height and length. And then like kind of similar to Jabari, he can kind of just shoot over people. Like he doesn't have like the same fluidity as like an Anthony Edwards or whatever. But those were the two players that like, if he could hit either of those outcomes, that would be like a great outcome for him. So anyway, does anyone have thoughts on my sell me this pen on Nate Ament?
Well, the Jaden McDaniels one, that's really interesting. Honestly, like I'm glad you gave those comps because I don't know if I would have been able to give one. Like not that I don't know his game, but like he's just kind of like it's hard with those players who are like pretty raw and have so many paths to like developing. But like the McDaniels one is interesting because if I remember correctly, like at Washington, he was kind of like this wing creator, like more offensively inclined, lanky, like shoot over guy scorer. But he was kind of inefficient. And then he slipped in the draft, but he came to the league and he bought into defense, got really good at it. And then over time, he's just gotten better and better on offense. I mean, I do not think Ament is like the same mover as McDaniels, but also he's got more wiggle, I feel like, than Jabari Smith. Jabari Smith is pretty stiff.
Yeah.
And Ament's handle, like, we didn't really talk much about the mid-range when we were just talking about him, but like some of the shot making he did at Tennessee, not that that's going to be his NBA role, but that's like, that shows you something. He was able to like create and make something out of nothing. So just like the confidence or like the ability to shoot over guys, whatever you want to look at that, like he did it. And that's more so like a McDaniels, like with the Timberwolves, he's almost more of like a bailout creator / like I got to scale up because Ant's not playing, but like he can really like go against a closeout and hit that pull up midi or do a little turnaround or get to the rim. And I think Ament could even get to the rim or get to the line better than him. So just like being able to have those ball skills as a wing is really valuable, even if your role is not offensive creator. And so like if he can like just get that handle a little better and like work on that shot, like that mold is totally there for him to be that level of impact player.
Yeah, and the point, it's a good point. Like the reason McDaniels like dropped in the draft was like he had the pedigree like Ament does, but because he was pretty highly ranked coming into Washington and it just didn't really come together. But I really do like I saw some similarities in just the movement patterns, and like both of those guys that I mentioned are kind of like McDaniels. You wouldn't say that about him now, but when he was a rookie and like in his second year, like you would say he was kind of stiff. And Jabari Smith is still kind of stiff, but like McDaniels has like worked on that, and now he's kind of like this big kind of like tertiary creator guy, and like I don't see Ament as like anything resembling like a first option. But I think in time he could become something similar to like what McDaniels has become as like a second or third option. But Deolu, do you have any like closing thoughts on Nate Ament?
I mean, aside from like all of the, you guys gave really great analysis. I don't think I can like add on to that. But like, aside from that, I mean, one of the plays I remember from Nate Ament is during that Tennessee Auburn game you were talking about. I think Ament, he hustles after a loose ball, and then he dives into a cameraman, and then he gets back up like within like 2 seconds, and then he runs to the corner and then makes a three, and then that gets everyone energized. They were down by 8 points, and now they run back and they get a comeback win, and then they advance to the tournament. He's like a really competitive player, and I got to see it up close because he played on Team Loaded at the Adidas Nationals, the same place where Pearson was playing. He really wants to win. He's a great guy. I think he'll be a plus in the locker room. So I think if he ends up being able, if the Bucks are able to pick him, then I think he'll be a guy that Bucks fans will like as a guy, not just as like a prospect, but as a guy.
Yeah, and I'll close on this. My idea for drafting him was like, we don't know, like, let's assume Giannis gets traded and it's if it's the Miami offer and they have pick in 10 and 13, I would probably take like a Braden Burries at 10, and then I would be more inclined to take a swing at 13. If they just have pick 10, then it's like John Horst would have to have some like real balls to like take that swing. But on some level, I would respect it. All right, guys. So that is fair or fast done with. And now we're just going to talk we can just talk about other guys that we're interested in. And I will start off with Kareem Lopez, because I am not a Kareem Lopez guy. And I have watched this guy for like 2 years in the NBL, and I don't get the hype. But Finn, I don't think you get the hype either. But like, what are your thoughts on Kareem Lopez?
I will let you like really talk about his game since you've really watched him. But honestly, like I will just be bold and exaggerate, but like be bold. Like if the Bucks drafted Kareem Lopez at 10 for some reason, because I know he's like, we worked him out, I think, and he's kind of in that range, I would become a Sacramento Kings fan. I think that would be in it. And like I would maybe feel this way if I were like a Heat fan with like the 13th pick or something. I think that the process of drafting a guy that raw, that high is like completely indefensible. Like there's a Nate Ament who's raw, but then there's Kareem Lopez who it's like, oh my god, dude, like what are you like actually good at? And like that doesn't mean that like he can't ever get better. Like if we drafted him at 10 and he ended up being like a good starter, I would tip my cap, but it would still be a bad process to draft him. Like it would be like such an outlier if he ends up becoming good, I feel like, because I've heard that his NBA skill, I was talking to another no ceiling shout. We've talked about him so much, but Maxwell at the draft combine, I was like, dude, what do you think his NBA skill is? Because I actually don't know. And he said like offensive rebounding. And like, hey, that's cool, but that might be true. But if that's your NBA skill right now, like, man, why? Because to develop to the level that he needs to develop, he needs to be able to like get on the court. And unless he goes to a team that is just going to let him play through so many mistakes, like he's not really going to have an easy time getting on the court. Like Salon for the Hornets hardly plays in the regular season, sure, but like play-in games glued to the bench because he doesn't have a reason. He doesn't have that like hang his hat skill. And Kareem Lopez does not have that. And the shot looked so broke at the combine. Like you got to work on that. So yeah, I'm out on him. I think. I mean, late first round, sure. Like I don't want to sound like I think he's like an absolute like Kwame Brown. That man's a scrub or whatever. But like, I'm just really off on him.
Yeah. Where to start on Kareem Lopez? Okay, your point about him not having NBA skill is where I would first go. I would. The only thing I would say about Kareem Lopez is I guarantee you he has like the anthro measurements that are like. I guarantee he has good wingspan and like huge hands. Like some of the dunks he did in the NBL, he was kind of just like reaching up with one hand and just like putting balls in. Like he can do some like freakish stuff from an athletic standpoint, but yeah, the shot
athletic testing wasn't too good either. Like the speed
stuff. Oh, that's
and
interesting.
Was like probably like average at best, if I'm remembering correctly. Not that he couldn't be a good functional athlete, but like that's still
that's interesting context. Yeah. And so the shot is like not there. He's not like a flexible, like explosive, like change of direction guy. The way he scored in the NBL was really through just like a lot of force. And he was like overpowering guys, and just like generally that doesn't translate to the NBA because like the NBL is an undersized league, like with a lot of short dudes over here. So yeah. Deolu, have you watched much Kareem Lopez? Do you have any thoughts on him?
Honestly, I haven't gotten like to watch any like full games of him or anything like that, but like I don't know, he just feels like he's like a year away from being like a year away type of thing. Like he just doesn't like have anything that would like make him like valuable to an NBA team right now. Like you said, like he does have like good size and all that, but other than that, like I don't know, it looks kind of rough. Yeah.
All right, Deolu, do you want to pick a guy just in this kind of range that you want to chat about, or do you just want me to pick random guys?
I was gonna ask what you guys thought about Jaden Quaintance because he's a guy that a lot of scouts are like somewhat high on, but he's been falling recently, and a lot of people are out on him. So like, what do you guys think about him?
Finn?
Well, I've heard him compared before to Robert Williams, and the more I started to picture him in that role, the more I was like, all right, this is like, I mean, he's worth betting on. Like, I have him like 20th on my board right now, and I feel like that's about the range where I'd feel comfortable taking him. Like, I know some people, he used to be like top 10. The injury stuff seems to be relatively concerning, but also like, I don't know how much I could really see him scaling up offensively to being much more than just like a rim running play finisher who's very reliant on others creating for him. So a kind of a lot swings on like how good can he be on defense and how much could he stay on the court. Like maybe if this is like a Jonathan Isaac situation, it's like on one hand, a player like that is valuable and he's had some really good seasons, but also there's like so many concerns with like the limited offense or just like the ability to stay on the floor where like Isaac is ultimately capped out now as like this situational guy. Quaintance is a little different because I feel like he's more of like a true center, so it matters less that he's limited on offense than Isaac. But like I don't really see the lottery for him, but like I definitely see the appeal because like Robert Williams is like a really impactful player. So if Quaintance is that, then like if it's 10 years from now or like 5 years from now and he's like the 15th best guy in the class or like maybe even like top 10 most impactful, I could totally see a world for that.
Yeah, Quaintance is interesting because like undersized for like a center, right? Like he's 6'10", I want to say 6'9" barefoot, whatever the measurements were. Massive wingspan, like 7'5" wingspan. So he's got long arms. In the limited film that was available, his ability to like his defensive instincts really popped off the screen. Like his number one, his like drop mobility was really interesting. Like the way he could play two in the drop, and then also his like shot blocking, like the way like he had some insane shot blocks at Arizona State. So yeah, he's a super interesting one. The other thing is the injury concerns. Like, there's a lot of speculation online, like seeing him in like draft workouts. Like, he didn't really seem like he wanted to land on that knee that he injured. So there's some concerns there, but yeah, he's a wild card in this. Like, I've seen people say that like Atlanta should take him at like 8 or whatever. Like, so yeah, it's it would be a swing inside the top 10, but I don't know, it wouldn't be surprising. Finn, did you want to pick another guy in this range?
Sure. There's actually a couple guys that pretty interesting, but I think that let's talk about Dalen Swain, because I feel like he's one of the Bucks Twitter darlings right now in terms of like guys we should target at 10. That feels really rich for me, and I think that it would for a lot of like the biggest or like most trusted outlets I see. Like, he's a clear first round pick, but like if we're talking 10th pick, we're talking like, all right, we think this guy's going to be good starter to maybe star. I want to take a guy who has a chance of being a star. And on one side of the coin with Swain, it's like the self-creation stuff at Texas, like fantastic. Like his isolation numbers, whatever, like that really stands out. He's got a great handle for his size. He can get to the rim. He's versatile. He's crafty. He can pass. Like, there's a lot of positive indicators on offense and on defense too. Like, he's a really versatile player, but also so much of it comes down to that shot, man. There's like, I think there's a lot to work on with the shot, and it's tough to be a wing star in the NBA right now if you can't shoot it. And so I just go back and forth because it's like, when he gets to the NBA, like how much on-ball responsibility is he going to be given, or is he ever really going to take on where like this creation stuff can really pop? But then B, like, if he can't really shoot it ever, where does that leave him? So I think he's really interesting. Like, I think he's a total no-go at 10, but like it's still worth talking about him because some people think he is, but also just like in general, I'm curious what you guys think.
Yeah, 10 feels very rich. I will say that. Like, it's, I don't know. There's a lot of like fans of his online. I don't know if it's kind of like a hive mind kind of thing. Like, everyone's just jumping on the train just because, I don't know, it starts from somewhere and people are just like, yeah, there are a lot of guys I would take before him. But Deolu, do you like what do you think of Swain's game?
It was definitely really fun to watch during the tournament run. Super elite athlete, big dunker. But yeah, that shot really worries me. I think he shot something like 34% from three, which is like not the numbers I would like to see from like a 6'7" wing.
And it was on pretty low volume, right? Like really low. Like it was like
1 to 2 shots a game.
Might have been like 2 attempts per game or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So like that part of his game, like I really envision like Swain as like, I don't know, like a 3-and-D kind of guy, but like I just don't think like the three is there. So that's like my big problem with him. But I think he'll be like a really good grab, like in like the later first round, but like I think it would be like a bit of a stretch to pick him at 10. So I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
Here's who he reminds me a bit of, kind of, is Jimmy Butler. But just like inside the arc oriented wing, also like, Swain's a junior, and like Jimmy Butler, he came in after 3 or 4 years in college and was like late first round, but became a star. They kind of fit a similar mold, but like if he's that sort of player, but like the jump shot is like, he's not Jimmy. He's not going to be Jimmy in a lot of ways, but like the jump shot doesn't really come around at all. Like, how valuable is that really? Or like, is Swain a guy who you really will end up like giving the ball to? I mean, I already asked that question, I guess, but I don't know. Any thoughts on like the Jimmy sort of parallel there?
it's interesting. Like, I think there's something to like I know you mentioned the like unassisted like rim numbers. Like that's I could see the Jimmy comparison there certainly. And then on defense, I honestly like I don't really know. Like, is he he's a solid defender, right?
Yeah, he can guard.
Yeah.
You
So
know, typical like wing stuff where it's like he's long, he can switch a bit, can
yeah,
get some steals. Like I don't think that's like his elite skill, but like you're gonna trust that he's gonna be able to like he'll play.
the one thing I really do like about Swain is his like his change of like if you call Naderman stiff on one end, like Dalen Swain is all the way over here. Like he is flexible and his ability to like change direction and like navigate is like pretty special. So that's what I would say, and that's some of what Jimmy can, or at least young Jimmy could do. So I think that's an interesting comparison. Okay, so we've been going for an hour 30. Let's go for like 5 to 10 more minutes. And there's a whole bunch of other guys we could go on forever about. But I want to go ask you guys about a second round sleeper that you really like. But I will start with one that I like, and that is Jaden Bradley from Arizona. So it's just like he just produced and like I know Burry's led the team in scoring, but like he was probably their best player, right? So do you guys like him as a second round flyer?
Yeah. Deolu, you can go first.
No, you got it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think that he's got a lot of the point guard traits. Like I think he's only like 6'2", but like when you look at a smaller guard, he has a lot of the traits for the guys in that mold who end up succeeding. Mainly for me, it's the strength and the physicality. Like coming from the Big 12, another tough physical league, like he's got that. But like he's also strong, and I just really trust him as a ball handler and a decision maker. He pressures the rim. He's got the mid range. He's the three ball will also need to come around a little bit, I think. But like he's kind of like a Jamal Shed variant a little bit. And sometimes there's those guys in college who is just like they're really smart and they're just good at basketball. Like they'll probably find some sort of way to figure it out. And Bradley feels like one of those guys. Like he looked right at home against the competition in the combine scrimmages, just like he was really getting beat up in some of those games, just like with a lot of physicality and size against him. But like he's taking that, he's getting to the rim. Like I just think he can play. So I would take him like mid to late second round, kind of depends on the team. But like he feels like a solid bet at some sort of NBA player.
Any Bradley thoughts, Deolu?
Yeah, just to add on what he said, he was probably like the emotional valve of Arizona during that day, or during the season. A true like emotional leader, a leader on the court. He has that experience as a senior. He's a solid playmaker, and I think he has the capability to be like a good bench, like off the bench, like playmaker, just like a hard-nosed guy who can like get a stop on one end but also lead the floor on the other end. So he has like a pretty decently high floor for a second rounder. So I think I do like him. Yeah.
And he hit big shot after big shot. Like clearly got like the balls to take big
that
shots.
That game winner in the Big 12 tournament.
Oh yeah,
was that Iowa State or was that BYU? Whoever it was, that was a tough. Or Houston. I get them all mixed up.
I think it was Houston. Yeah,
that was a tough shot, man.
Yeah. All right, Deolu, do you have a second round guy that you're just really like?
I might be a little
or
bit
even
biased.
just late first.
I might be a little bit biased because I'm going Northwestern in the fall, but I really love Nick Martinelli's game. He just like did it all for Northwestern. I mean, aside from like defenses, he was like the main offensive guy, but he was one of the nation's most prolific scorers. He got to the paint well. I think, of course, his 3-point shot is like a major concern, but like I think he's pretty experienced in that regard. And honestly, that's really it. I think he's just.
Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead. He's just like a really high scoring guard with a lot of capability around the rim as a 6'7" sort of wing. So I think I like him. But
Finn, I have not watched like a second of this dude, so you're gonna have to tell me what his game is about.
I got you. Yeah, this is funny because I met a kid at the combine, a year younger than me, so freshman in college, who was there from Northwestern to cover Martinelli, and he was trying to like sell me on him, and I feel like he's kind of been buzzing since Martinelli, but that's a bit of a tangent. My comp for him, not like 1-to-1 in terms of play style, because there's some differences, but he's kind of Nas Reedy to me. And I say that because he's just like this funky power forward with good touch and ball skills who like there aren't a lot of easy comparisons for him, but he's funky and that's why he's good. So that he's not a shooter like Nas Reed. He's got really good touch, but it doesn't show up from three in the same way. His form is kind of funky. He got better over time at Northwestern, but like that's got to get worked out. But like in like the short mid range, the block, the post, like his touch is great and he's got a lot of ways to score. And he's this like strong dude who can he can like kind of play physical, carve out some shots for him. Like he really was, like Deolu said, just one of the most like prolific scorers in the Big Ten for years, and like almost like college in general, just like consistent. And so guys who can produce and guys who are like outliers in some sort of way, like Martinelli's a funky player and his touch at his size is like an outlier to some degree, are usually good bets to figure out something. So like second round pick caliber for sure. But also like there's a world where he just doesn't have an NBA role.
Interesting. Really interesting. And Finn, round us out with a guy you like.
Yeah, let's talk about Nick Boyd. I will also be biased.
I know he's the hometown guy. He's the hometown guy, but I have not. I actually no. I watched like maybe a half. They were at some like tournament. Like it was like what's it called when they conference play? That's what I'm trying to think of. But yeah,
just non-conference play, like at the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me about his game.
Man, Nick Boyd, he's just so fun. Like, okay, another little tangent, but it's kind of lame. But like when I graduate Wisconsin in 2 years, and I think about my Mount Rushmore of favorite players that I got to watch on the Badgers, like it's gonna be John Tonje, but like Nick Boyd might even be number one. Oh, yeah. The guy is just electric. Like number one, he's just a real competitor, like built for the moment, and so like that makes me think that he's like going to be able to make it to the NBA in some degree, like just like the confidence and like he's ready to compete at any level. But like he's a really good athlete for a guard, I think, in some non-traditional senses. He's really fast, like he's great in transition and the rim pressure is excellent. And like his like dexterity and body control, like his ability to hit tough layups over guys is all great. He's not a good vertical athlete, and he's like relatively skinny. Like I think the defense is going to be like meh, but
how tall?
I think like 6'1", 6'2".
Okay, yeah.
But he is just like really good with the ball in his hands and really crafty. And I've seen him finish over every big guy in the Big Ten with just like no issue. And the jump shot is there and he can play make even though he scored first. So I just like, it's kind of tough sometimes with like point guards in the second round who it's like, if you come into the league, how much are you really going to get the ball? And if you don't really get the opportunity to like have usage off the bench, like how impactful can you be? But like, man, there's just so much with Boyd in his game where it's like, it just feels like it's almost even built to scale up more to the NBA, even though he was such a stud at Wisconsin. So, I mean, I'm really biased, but also like as an evaluator, like there's some stuff to like, and I just think he's really fun.
Taylor, have you watched any Nick Boyd?
Very limited. I think I've watched like a couple conference games and then that tournament game against High Point. That might bring up like traumatic memories for you. But Yeah, he
Okay.
was. He is really. He is a really fun player. You mentioned the finishing. Like he gets around people. I think a lot of teams would like love to have like his sort of like green nature. Um, Especially like off the bench, sort of like a microwave type scorer. So I do agree with you. I think a lot of teams would love to have him.
All right. My final message is just another guy that I saw on my list of guys here that I don't want the Bucks to pick. Please, Bucks, do not pick Koa Pete with pick 10. Please don't pick Koa Pete with pick 10. Yeah. That's about it for the conversation, guys. I really appreciate you both joining me. Yeah. Finn put in the chat that he wanted to talk about Corey and all those guys, but we could go on for 2.5 hours if we did that.
We could just say their names real quick. That like,
oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I'll just say like, so yeah, I've just put in the chat here because I didn't want to interrupt Jack, but Ibuka, Corey, Cam, Carr, and Morez Johnson are 3 other guys who are like, their range probably like starts at 10. They're more like late lottery guys, but like, I think that they're worth serious consideration for the Bucks at 10, and we can just leave it at that. Like, I think some people are really starting to get hot at Carr, including Bucks fans I see online. So I'd consider them. I just think, like, I'll mention them. I'm sorry that we didn't talk about them to the listeners out there, but they're on my radar and I like them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm trying to think of any other guys that I want to.
Especially a Corey.
I was about to say, especially Carr. Like,
yes.
A 7-foot wingspan or something like that. Like 6'4", 6'5". Like that is nothing to joke about for real.
Quick note on Carr. I don't know we're getting sidetracked.
No, this is why podcasting is great.
What do you guys think of like the we shouldn't put too much into the combine? Like what do you guys think of this kind of I don't know philosophy that like teams get in trouble when they just base everything off the combine?
Yeah, I mean, as someone who like just had the incredible opportunity to be there, like it's hard not to weigh in what I saw, but like, yeah, I mean, small sample size for everything, like you can't really take much into account. I think like with the athletic testing, it's interesting and helpful, but you also on the flip side, there's the functional athleticism that actually shows up on the floor. Like Yaxel Lendeborg didn't test that well athletically, but if you watch him, like you're never going to think that like, oh, this guy like can't fit in, he can't hang in the NBA athletically. And as for the scrimmages, I did think those were interesting just because like you're seeing a guy against like all pro competition for the first time, but like Cameron Carr scoring 30 in that first game doesn't mean he's all of a sudden some stud. It's more just like when you're watching those, just about like the process or like the little things, how they look in that setting. But so like I wouldn't weigh it like a ton, and you shouldn't, but like it's also just a different way to like get a look at guys and get some extra information. So it's valuable.
Yeah. Deolu, you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean basically what Finn said. Like sometimes I see people on Twitter getting like a little worked up because like some prospect shot like I don't know, like 40% or 50% like in one of the star drills when he's usually a really good 3-point shooter. And sometimes it's just like all like an overreaction. Like, I don't know, like just for like hypothetically, like if a Corey from Stanford, he flew all the way out to Chicago, but he has like some jet lag or something like that, and he just isn't feeling it today. His like performances are like a little underwhelming. That doesn't mean like he's not a great scorer. Like he is a great scorer, but it doesn't really mean anything. I think like the biggest part of it is just like the height and the wingspan, and then a lot else of it is just like some noise. But
no, the shooting drills are straight bullshit. I got to be honest, because nobody is going at game speed to any degree, so it actually like doesn't mean anything. The only thing I was watching with those is the form. Like watching a guy shoot will tell you a lot about him as a shooter. But like if anybody is tracking those results to mean anything, like you're gonna have to reevaluate your evaluation.
Yeah. All right. So that'll do us for today. But yeah. stay posted on the site. The whole team's been doing excellent, like draft evaluations on all the. We got the Brew Hoop community draft board going right now, so that's been really fun to write about all the players. And then, man, I mean, draft is coming up, so like things are going to get interesting regarding the draft, and then obviously with Giannis, because we know the deadline for something to be resolved there is the draft. So, stay posted to the site, and thanks for listening.